Welcome to the InfoWars Nightly News. I'm David Knight. It's Friday, August 23rd, 2013. Now, our top story tonight is, what actor is going to play Batman? I'm sure that was what was on your mind. With war about to break out in the Middle East, which could turn into a world war, with the White House pushing for a race war here at home, and with the government spying on your every move and breaking every law to do so, the most important thing that was trending on Twitter and the mainstream media today was, who's going to play Batman? A lot of pushback that Ben Affleck has been chosen perhaps to play that. You know, it's hard to believe that the really important issues are not being covered, but it's also hard to believe the way these important issues are being spun in the media. Now, CNN had an exclusive interview with Obama because, of course, CNN is his favorite propaganda media outlet. And he had these comments to say about what's going on in Syria. He believes that he's got a Gulf of Tonkin incident in Syria that he can use to start another war. He said, Assad's forces have used chemical weapons, and the time within which a decision about such an action must be made has been shortened. In other words, as the headline says, key decisions are nearing on both Syria and Egypt. Now listen to this other quote that Obama had. He said, if the U.S. goes in and attacks another country without a UN mandate and without clear evidence that can be presented, then there are questions in terms of whether international law supports it. Do you hear that? It's just like Bush #1 in the first Iraq War. He said, if this is done without a UN mandate about international law, well, what about American law? What about a declaration of war from the U.S. Congress? Doesn't care. Doesn't care about that, just like Bush didn't care about that. You think there's a difference between Bushes and Obama? Do you think there's a difference, for instance, between Obama and McCain? Think about this. We've got an attack being set for a Syrian invasion in motion following a reported chemical attack. This is a story from Infowars.com. Kurt Nemo writes, he's got a quote from John McCain. This is what McCain says about the war. He says, it's a long past for the United States and our friends and allies to respond to Assad's continuing mass atrocities in Syria. Really? Continuing? With decisive action, including limited military strikes to degrade Assad's air power and ballistic missile capabilities, said John McCain, the other choice that we were presented with in 2008. So Obama wants to move in as long as we've got the UN approval and don't break any international law. But of course, McCain wants to go in right away. So the next time you have an election and somebody is trying to push on you that you should vote for the lesser of two evils, just understand there's no difference between the foreign policy between the Bushes and Obamas and the McCains. They're all the same. They're all doing what the military-industrial complex wants them to do. And there's evidence now that the U.S. is not even waiting for even the UN to okay this. There's a report from Max Slavo based on an article from Le Figaro. The title is, Hundreds of American troops and CIA operatives have entered Syria. He says, if the following from France's second largest newspaper, Le Figaro, is accurate, then we must assume that war is now a foregone conclusion. According to our information, the regime's opponents, this is Le Figaro saying this, supervised by Jordanian, Israeli, and American commandos moving toward Damascus since mid-August. This attack could explain the possible use of the Syrian president in chemical weapons. According to the information presented by Le Figaro, the first trained in guerrilla warfare by the Americans and Jordan Syrian troops reportedly entered into action since mid-August in southern Syria in the region of Deraa. A first group of 300 men, probably supported by Israeli and Jordanian commandos, as well as men of the CIA, crossed the border August 17. A second would have joined the 19th. And the French paper suggests that perhaps the Syrian government launched the gas attack because of this invasion. Not likely. The gas wasn't directed at them, but more importantly, Syria and their ally Russia know that this would galvanize opposition against them. They have no reason to do that. It's important to note that the U.S. standard method of operation to justify involvements in a war is to stage an attack that they then blame on the party that they wish to attack, called a false flag. Those who know real American history see an ominous connection between CIA commandos entering Syria and a gas attack a few days later. Now, of course, the French paper is saying, well, if the U.S. is invaded, then maybe that's why Assad attacked a village. That wouldn't make any sense. He doesn't have any reason to do that. He knows that that's going to make him an international pariah. He knows that that is the tripwire that they've been looking for. And in spite of what McCain says, there haven't been numerous attacks like this. They've all been debunked. And there's evidence that this one may not be genuine as well. Chemical weapons experts are saying that this doesn't look like a sarin attack. In another article from InfoWars from Paul Joseph Watson titled U.S. Trained Rebels Move Toward Damascus Days Before Chemical Weapons Attack, he quotes Paula Vanenen of the Finnish Institute for Verification of the Chemical Weapons Convention. And this person questions, says, at the moment, I am not totally convinced because the people that are helping them are without any protective clothing and without any respirators. In a real case, they would have been contaminated. They would have also been having symptoms. Now, although some experts are claiming nerve agent gas used was likely sarin, he says, compare the photos of the protective gear worn by Japanese chemical weapons specialists who did clean a metro station in Tokyo 8 hours after a real bottle of sarin gas was thrown in 1995. Compare that to the complete lack of protective gear worn by those seen handling victims in the video footage released earlier this week. Now understand, people really died, children really died, but when we're talking about the justification for war, it really matters how they died, and it matters who killed them, because that's the basis of them pushing for war. And also understand that once this war starts out, it is going to be a lot more people dying and suffering, dying agonizing deaths. So we need to look at this very carefully. We need to not be goaded into jumping into a war as Obama and McCain and the one war party that we have running Washington wants to do. That's precisely what they want.
The important thing about the Pro 1 filter today is that the material we use for removing fluoride and other heavy metals now will remove the latest form of fluoride called hydrofluorosilicic acid. There's no other fluoride reduction filter out there that will remove that type of fluoride. And it's extremely important because today we're hearing more and more cities are using that form of fluoride.
We've been having medication forced on us through the water system for quite a while. Most people don't realize it. Most people don't realize the negative effects of fluoride.
There's a wide range of health effects that are attributed to fluoride.
Bottom line, why should somebody get this new Pro 1 ProPure filter?
The reason to buy the Pro 1, it's an all-in-one filter. It's convenient, easy to use. It doesn't require the add-on fluoride filter. And in addition, this filter removes the latest form of fluoride called hydrofluorosilicic acid.